Good night, everyone. I should have asked if everyone can hear me, but the mere fact that you said good night, it means that you have. Welcome to our first panel discussion in our lecture series, Exploring Cricket and Popular Culture. I would ask, given the size of the crowd, that not only do you come forward, but we might almost do an abridged version of Fire in Babylon. So you'll get to see fire, but no Babylon. And in that, given the direction of our moderator for tonight, we'll show about 45 minutes of the documentary and then really get into the discussion with our panelists to have more meaningful insight into not only what the film depicts, but a wider understanding of how West Indies cricket got to where it did in those halcyon days. We'll not discuss the present. We will simply revel and immerse ourselves in the past and begin to have a better appreciation of how that came to be through hard work, grit, and many a stumped finger and a little bit of other things. Tonight we're quite privileged to have as our moderator Mr. Conde Riley, who's been a member of the Barbados Cricket Association for the last 22 years and has the privilege of being the president of the BCA as well as a director of Cricket West Indies. He's a former investment banker and now, should I say, spends his time investing in our cricket. I see a wry smile. I call that a good deposit. Our panelists for the night almost need no introduction. It's almost up there, when you mention one, you must mention the other. There are some things in our vocabulary that can only be said in pairs. Good wine, rum and coke, Greenwich and Haynes, or Haynes and Greenwich, depending on the particular time at which you were born. Thank you. But as a young West Indian boy growing up in the 70s, who had aspirations of playing cricket and realized that unfortunately my talents laid with a much larger ball, oval in shape, I could only watch in admiration. But went to a school that produced some gentlemen that ended up playing for both Barbados and the West Indies. And you could not help but be in awe. And gentlemen, I would say your exploits are the only time I've ever seen my grandmother smile and laugh in glee, and that was over cricket. I never thought she liked sports until cricket came on. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gordon Greenwich and Mr. Desmond Haynes will be our panelists tonight, and at this time I will turn on our short film and we will immerse ourselves in Fire in Babylon. Thank you.
Yeah, good night, everyone. It's been a long evening, and every time I watch that movie, it always stimulates and encourages me to continue to give whatever I have left to Barbados and West Indies cricket, off the field, that is. Anyway, thanks for coming this evening. We now move into the second section of the evening where we have the legends of Barbados and West Indies cricket, and Mr. Franklin Stevenson, one of the best cricketers coming out of Barbados that never had the opportunity to represent the West Indies, but doing a fantastic job now with his academy and producing a lot of our very good young players. Before I move on, I just want to say thank you to the hosts and sponsors, the Barbados Museum, University of the West Indies. And the BCA, in a small way, as I see, this is the beginning of the 2018 lecture series. And when I look at the entire thing, it seems as though there will be several other lectures over the course of this month and the beginning of next month. I sincerely hope that we have a bigger turnout. I'm sure with a little bit more marketing and awareness that this lecture series will be a good one. So without further ado, I will now invite you to question these three legendary Barbadian cricketers on anything that you may choose to do or about the actual film. So over to you and the panel.
Hi, good evening. Sorry, good night, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is indeed a pleasure, having the opportunity to go before Gordon Greenidge in anything. So I'm honored. And I guess that was the reason why he made the suggestion that we should say a few words before we go into the question and answering. Watching the film tonight, I think that it really, you know, to me, it is very touching. I mean, it's touching in a lot of ways, in the sense that my mentor, and used to be my dad, but now we are all brothers, Hartley Richards is here, and he would have witnessed whatever I went through in that film, in the sense of you're going on to play World Series cricket, you're not too sure if you'll ever play cricket for West Indies again, you need to contact people, you want some family support, you want people to tell you, you know, look, you know, you're doing the right thing. And I think that is so important in a young cricketer's life. But when I look at the video, Fire in Babylon, one of the things that struck me is that I know early on tonight people say, let us talk about the past and not about the present and what these guys are doing now. I think it's important for us to also talk about what is happening now. And to see a nation, to see people talking about how do you go about in trying to be the best cricketers the world has ever seen. And when you look at the West Indies setup now, you don't see none of those guys, any of those guys, involved in the development of our cricket. Now, to me, that's an insult. Because I am not saying that all of us are coaches. You know, people have to go and qualify, and you have to make sure that you know how to teach people to play a game. But you are telling me that people who have played at a time when we talk about playing for your country, trying to show people that you could be the best cricketers in the world, you are telling me in today's world that we don't have anything to offer? That we are not quality? I find that very distasteful. And watching the film, I made a few notes. And I went on to say that I never get the opportunity to talk a lot about West Indies cricket. Sometimes I go on my Facebook page, I would go on my website, and I would talk about a few things. I always try to offer advice to the West Indies team. On WhatsApp, I communicate with Jason and some of the guys and so forth. But things like this is lovely for us to be able to let our people know of who we are, how we feel about cricket today. But years ago, we would get interviewed by Tony Cozier. It would go into The Nation, The Advocate, it would go down the islands, and that's it. Now, when people call me and ask me, Desmond, what do you think about West Indies cricket? What can you do to improve West Indies cricket? I've got to go to Hartley Richards and ask him a question. Why should I be saying all these things? After making these statements, am I going to get my light bill paid? Because the cricketers are telling you that they're playing for money. They want to improve their standard of living. But we know, the past greats, whenever there's an opportunity for us to talk about the state of West Indies cricket and what we can do to make it better, people think that we should do it for free. Now, I love West Indies cricket. I would really like to do whatever is possible to make sure that I improve the standard. I don't feel good to know that we're qualifying for World Cup. That's unheard of. I never thought that I would live the day to think that we would be qualifying for World Cup. But things have changed. T20 cricket is now in. There's a lot of other things that are doing, and I personally welcome it. But where I got the problem is that why is it that when the past greats are making statements regarding of how to make our cricket better, why is it that we have a beef? Why is it that we don't like West Indies cricket? That is not true. Why is it that the authorities can't say that? It is another view. Some of these guys have played over 100 test matches. They've played all over the world. Why is it that you cannot take the criticism and say, this is a good thing because it can help us to get better? I am not going to stop from playing my golf to go and to make or help a young cricketer to go on to play international cricket around the world. And then, at the end of the day, he then tells me that, Coach, thank you very much, but I want you to understand that this is nothing about playing for my country. This is about making money. And I can't really blame him if he wants to go and play cricket for money, because the West Indies Cricket Board and the powers to be, we believe that franchise cricket is the way forward. Now, I openly say that I am not a big fan of franchise cricket in our 50 over competition and our 4 days. And I get a lot of stick. I think that people should say, Desmond, that is your view, but let us discuss it. Let us see why you don't like it. Let's have a discussion, just like what we're having tonight. And what I would say to my distractors, I would say to them, look, personally, I believe that it is time for us to start thinking about engaging our public. I think it is time for we to start talking about community cricket. And I think it's about time we start talking about our flag and our country. I am all in favor of playing cricket. If you're good enough, you can go all around the world and make money for your cricket. But it comes a time when you got governments and you got people from the district supporting young people, and they're telling you to play for my country, it doesn't matter. Because I can be put in a draft, I can be qualified to play for another country because it's all about making money. And I stand by my I stand by my statement. I am not a big fan of this. If it's going to make money for the guys, yes, good. The other thing that I am very, very strong about is that if we are going to have cricket in the Caribbean and we want to compete with the rest of the world, it is important for us to have a good standard. How can you, in your right mind, go to ask for sponsorship and you get a sponsor for your 50 over competition and you embark on an 18 tour, then you've got your full team in a World Cup qualifier? How are you expect to get sponsorship? And again, are you saying to me that you don't care about the spectators? I am a strong believer. West Indies cricket do not concern those 12 or 14 people that sit on that board. West Indies cricket concern all of us. It engages us. Forget about who like, who hate, who engage us. Let us try to find a way to make sure that we have some more pride and to have a second edition of Fire in Babylon.
Good evening, everybody. It's a little bit strange. I think Gordon had a plan when he put me next to Desmond. I want to go right back to the movie Fire in Babylon, documentary, film, a lot. And it's really weird because only last week, a friend of mine, I hadn't actually seen him, he's a Jamaican, travels a lot when he comes to Barbados, and he actually dropped off something for me. It was the CD, Fire in Babylon. And I've just gotten a vehicle. It's not really on loan, it's mine. And it has a CD player in it, and that's the only CD that's actually in this player, so I've actually been watching it for the last week. So I'm very au fait right now, and it's very fresh in my mind. I remember in my mom's house, 1975, 76, young lad of 16 years old, and the West Indies were seriously under pressure. We were absolutely battered. And I always loved cricket. As you will see, I'm doing my best to try and launch my book this year. And if it doesn't come this year, then it's going to be for the World Cup next year. But I'm really excited about it, and I've got a lot of friends around in the places that I've actually played a lot of my cricket. I've only played actually 8 games for Barbados, 8 games. But cricket's actually been my life, and it still is right now. Desmond is concerning that he loves his golf. Golf has been my job for 20 years now. I'm about to get another award from Sandy Lane for working there for 20 years. But I think I've spent more time in the academies that I've built and the one that I'm actually at now than I've actually spent at Sandy Lane in all that time, because cricket has done wonders for me as a young lad born in Halls Village in St. James. I've seen places where I was walking down the street in Queenstown in Tasmania, and I actually saw people looking back at me. So normally somebody look at you, you turn to them to speak. And I saw people stumbling into the gutter. And I'm asking Brian Davidson, and I think it was Neil Forster at the time, young England lad, what's happening? He said, they've never seen a black man. Cricket took me to places where I now can imagine that I would be. And I've always represented myself well, I've felt. But that 76 tour, that 75, 76 West Indies in Australia brought a new dimension to cricket. And I've actually come to be so fortunate that all those guys that I saw out there fighting for West Indies cricket, and actually I've always considered Test cricket to be a war where you leave and you lose. You know, the captain should come home and present his credentials and say, well, that's my retirement there. Anybody that wants it can take it, because I've actually lost the battle. And then it's up to the administration and to the team whether they actually invite him to do the job again, because it was so important. I've always felt it, and I think that my life has shown that I've actually felt it. And circumstances, you know, I wouldn't say beyond my control. I was totally in control of everything that happened. I knew that decisions that I took would have consequences. But, you know, the second part of that film actually shows that, you know, they discussed the exodus to South Africa. And I thought that that's where a lot fell down, in a sense, because we had people that were talking about things that they didn't know anything about. The thing that we played here in the Caribbean is that cricket, you know, like I said, when I was in a place like Tasmania, it also happened in South Africa, in places where people ask you, where you're from? I said, Barbados. Where is that? It's in the West Indies. Which part of India is that? That was always the third question. So I actually ripped a page out of the In-Flight magazine, and I would travel with that to show them, well, these little dots here, well, that's our dot there. But you mentioned cricket, and it rang a bell. Well, first of all, it's which part of Jamaica. Jamaica came in, and Bob Marley, yeah, you know, Bob Marley is it, that sort of stuff. But then to have these little dots raised to rule the world of cricket, I don't think we can get the youngsters to understand the sort of pride and prestige that brought to the Caribbean people. We had a bunch of great, fantastic individuals. You cannot put two of them together and say, well, they've come off the same conveyor belt. You know, the bowlers were totally different, the batsmen were different. And the fantastic thing is that those guys came together to form a team. And during the movie, during the actual film, they showed you that it was actually a time in history, very important time for West Indies, where we had Bob Marley and we had Jimmy Cliff, and the culture, the music, everything just sort of rang out that the region needed this, the nation of black people needed this, and it all came together. And out of the blue, to be able to come from obscurity to rule the world with a game that was designed and has its roots in the aristocracy of English well-being and culture, and where you must stand and who you must be, and the harder back ones, they're the ones who are going to do the hard work, and we, the cultured ones, are going to go out and bat and show you. And, you know, so to come so far, and then look at today, I wasn't privy to what was said earlier, but I got a gist from what Desmond was saying, that, you know, you want to more stick to the movie, to the documentary, and to the time. But it's all relevant now, because we've all got to hold our hands on our hearts. We've got to hang our heads in the ground, really. I keep saying my statement right now is that the great Errol Barrow, he's got to be squirming in his grave, because we're not using the education that he's actually done so much to make sure that the people had and have. And, you know, so we've allowed it to falter. And it's, you know, it's pretty much in the gutter, in a sense. But today is new, in a sense, because we've got so much cricket happening. And cricket is not a game that you can just turn to a young lad. I was in South Africa, and we went down to a place called Langa, and a guy called Phillipson Johnson, who was coaching down there, showed me a young lad, and he said, this guy is absolutely fantastic. He's quick. He can't wear shoes when he's bowling, but he's fantastic. He's, you know, I looked at the young lad, he's smiling at me, and he's so nice. And I said to him, you know, South Africa have one fast bowler right now. That's Alan Donald, my partner. But if you want, this game can show you the world. It doesn't just happen like that. You know, it's got to be, the young lad never played much cricket after that even. You know, he just enjoyed what he was doing with his mates and stuff. But cricket is a life. It's something that you grow with. And that's why it's so hard for somebody new to come and appreciate the game. They've got so many facets. When you talk about the fields in cricket, you know, the history, it's a life of its own in a sense. And that's why the Caribbean people have to seek a way to rescue it. I don't think that it's up to the individuals or the groups of people. I think that when cricket decides it will actually come back. I believe that it can come back, and that's why I've expounded. This is the third academy that I've actually built. The second one I've actually physically went out and built. And I'm seeing so many rich rewards from it. And the game is opening up. No matter how people talk about how much the cricket has suffered and suffering, the fact of the matter is that they're looking at the West Indies, whether they're honest in saying that they want the West Indies to come again to add color and this and next thing and the third. But we know that I've taken 2 young teams to England in the last 3 years. I took these kids as under 11s, and again the next year as under 12s, and they've played in a festival in England. The first game we played was against Wales. The third game I played against, it was against Middlesex. And when the research was done, the late Tony Cozier did some research for us, and he handed out an article here for the newspapers. And he showed, his report showed that Middlesex, in their program, had 2,200 11-year-olds to choose their team from. We had 15. And we beat them comfortably, soundly. The concerns were, we don't teach our kids that, and we don't teach our kids this. I didn't bother to tell them that I didn't teach them anything. I just kept them together. I gave them a little bit of direction and made sure that they were disciplined, but I actually opened the door for them to express themselves. And we've lost to Yorkshire by 1 point on 2 occasions, which is amazing. I mean, Yorkshire is the biggest county in England a lot. So we have a lot of talent here still. And it's still begging to, you know, have those playing fields leveled and have the doors opened. So it hasn't gone far at all. We've got a very good young crop, but these days it's hard to hold young people down. I've heard statements in the Barbados team dressing room. You know, the youngster, I'm in the nets, I would bowl all afternoon, and never got a chance to bat. My first chance to bat, actually I batted one evening, and that's when they had 9 fast bowlers in the nets. And I noticed that nobody was hankering to go and bat. So the coach asked, what, nobody wants to bat? I said, I'll bat. Got a chance to put the pads on for the first time. So when I got a chance then to play my first game for Barbados, my first-class game, and you know, the question was, who's going to do night watchman? You didn't have to ask twice at all. You know, I had another chance to bat. We have a lot of good young people around, and cricket is still a big choice for young people. What they're looking for is that open door to the level playing field. And we need to seek to see how we can bring that in. I know that we can do it. This is the newest facility for cricket we've got in Barbados, and it's done wonders so far, and I'm sure that we can do a whole lot better. We do not have to wait for more like this or any person to come and give it to us. We need to start putting our stakes down. I've been asking for a long time. I actually went into politics because I thought that was the place to go to get your message heard and get the chance to get out there to do things for the nation. Big mistake. But I believe that we can we don't have to have one facility close to Kensington, or we don't have to have the Defense Force putting on a junior program. My idea was that we can have that program around Barbados in 25 different venues and create some new tourist attractions, but it's around a game that has brought us so much pride and recognition down through the years, and it could do so much more because there are more avenues open in cricket. Thank you.
A very good evening, everyone. Got a talkie never stop.
I'm not bowling now.
That's all right. I used to handle that too. I think these 2 guys covered a great deal as far as the pre-questions are concerned. My views are no different to these two guys here. But I have taken the back seat from cricket in more ways than one. I hardly visit the game, whether it's at Kensington or not. It's just occasionally, if I know that someone is playing or I hear of a youngster, I will try and make myself available to pop along to the game and have a look for myself. There is a lot of talk, perhaps, that might have surrounded that youngster, but I like to make my own judgment. But I just find, too, that the youngsters that are playing, I'm not certain that they're actually giving of their best. And certainly we are lacking in the quality that is needed to produce the type of cricketers that we expect to go out there and compete on the world stage. Regional cricket lacks the quality. I think we fool ourselves in thinking that we see this guy and he scores 100 or a few runs and all of a sudden he becomes a great and he's being compared to other people. Given the chance that the guy or the person go along and play some games, enjoy what he's doing, and repeat it. But these one-off times that happen don't make you that credible player that you would choose to go and represent you worldwide. So stop fooling ourselves. You know, yes, I think we have a lot of talent in the Caribbean. Not as much as we think we do, but I think we have a lot of quality and talent in the Caribbean. I don't think the players are as good as they think they are. Fool ourselves? Yes, we've been doing that for a while. I certainly am not going to. And I'm not saying that you have to go there and beat everyone and do it handsomely. Most of the time, I would like to see you compete, not just participate, compete. And I'm not saying you've got to win when you do so. Most of our games and our players and teams cannot last in a test match 5 days. If you cannot last 5 days in a test match, you cannot win it. We don't have the quality of players to say that we're going to dominate either in the batting or in the bowling. So we must have a team that is going to last 5 days of cricket. That is not happening. Occasionally we win a match, and handsomely too. But that doesn't cut it. So from one great moment to the next, and then we get back to the stage where we criticize and condemn and you know, perhaps look for excuses. But I think the time for excuses have passed, and we need to look at reality. Producing players is not going to be an easy task until the quality of games within the region changes. The film itself, Fire in Babylon, my only drawback with this DVD is that personally I felt it should have gone back a little further, because there were players and a West Indies team before when I played that put the West Indies on the map. I don't think they were accredited enough with what they did. So to think that because we in the 70s and so on, after that grinding in Australia, came to power and dominate international cricket, it's not so. The team might not have won regular matches, but I think the manner in which they played the game was credible. And that gave the West Indies the international recognition it got then, which followed on from, as I said, from there on in. So I just felt that, and I said this too when I first had the first viewing of the film in London, and that it should have gone back a lot further, or a little further, to give those guys a little more credibility for what they did with West Indies cricket. I'm not going to go on as long and just digress in all the things that happen, but this game has given me a lot of pleasure as well too. I've had a lot of sleepless nights as well, and I wonder how many of the present players do. To me, I don't see the hurt or disappointment on their faces when they get out, when they don't perform. To me, they still have this jovial expression on their faces and laughs and smiles and things like that. Damn it, you got to feel hurt at some stage. And at some stage, you're going to say, enough is enough. I am tired and getting my backside kicked. Even if you have to throw caution to the wind. But I think enough is enough, and don't make any excuses any further, or you don't make excuses as well, or you don't just score a few runs as if to say, well, I've got a 50, I've got enough, and he didn't get any, and so on. And it's very easy to point fingers. But I think it's got to be a collective effort on everybody, whether it stems from the West Indies Cricket Board, the head of the organization, or the regional boards. But I think that the regional board, regardless of what the West Indies Board is doing, needs to get their act together as well too, and start looking at quality, not quantity. And I think that's the only way we're going to get back to the stage where we can challenge on the international stage. If you want to touch on the 2020 cricket, it's not my cup of tea. I prefer the test match. But too many of the young players prefer and have opted to play in the T20 tournaments. If that's your choice, fair enough. But in the past, I just felt it was damaging to the players who seriously want to play test cricket or the longer version game, and the people in the region themselves. Because you said you want to go and play 2020 cricket, that's fine. Well, go and play 2020 cricket. But not when you're finished with the 2020 cricket, whether this tournament or the other tournament, that you now say, well, guys, I'm available, select me. I don't think it should work that way. If you make your choice, that's fine. And I do also feel that the cricket or cricketers today needs to start training and developing themselves, preferably in the longer version game, which would be more sustainable for them in any format they play after. If you start only wanting to play 2020, you're limiting yourself. And we see it, the many faults in our cricketers, because they don't have the understanding. The stroke play is bad, it's too rushed, there's no real coordination. Striking a ball is not a difficult thing for a West Indies batsman. Doing it regular and consistently is a problem. So these one-off efforts is not sufficient. I sincerely hope that they do actually sort of publish the full version of Fire in Babylon. This is the edited version. But I think there's a lot more to be seen. And as I said, my only disappointment or query about the DVD was that it did not give my peers enough credit for what they did for West Indies cricket. Thank you.
We are going to move quickly into the question segment where you can question and quiz these three revered panelists. But a lot of what they said just now is very important in terms of the future administration of cricket in Barbados and the West Indies. The narrative that has been going on for the last 10 years needs to stop. And what needs to happen is a more definitive sort of surgery of what is going on. For example, Gordon spoke about the T20 cricket and the consultant to the Barbados Pride team, he said a very similar thing to Shea Hope 2 years ago. If you want to be a good cricketer, spend your time in the longer version. And only this year, I realized that all of the franchises in the T20 version of the game, the highest paid guys in those franchises are the guys that play all three formats. Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli, Steve Smith. They were chosen right at the top with the big money. But they spend most of their time playing Test cricket, ODI cricket, and T20 cricket when their countries are not playing Test cricket. So that's food for thought. Now, the reality though is that last week, the BCA collected a check from the West Indies Cricket Board, which is a share of the money that the players in the IPL and the Bangladesh Premier League would have made. It is 20%, and this is not from their salaries, this is 20% of what they earn. And on Thursday, I am going to be presenting a check for $115,000 to YMPC. That is a percentage of what Dwayne Swift made. I see Pedro Graves from Wildy. They will get a percentage of what Carlos Brathwaite was paid. Wanderers will get Jason Holders. So the reality that we face as administrators is how do we get these guys who will say to you, but you know, my span in cricket would be 20 to 35 if I'm lucky. After that, who's going to provide for me and my family and so on and so forth. So we have to juxtapose all of these different things as administrators. We now have an active Legends community at the Barbados Cricket Association. Desmond is a member of the Cricket Committee, and I think the Legends Committee as well, because what I would like to see is for all of these past Barbados and West Indies cricketers having an input into the future development of our under 15s, under 17s, under 19s, and our Barbados Pride senior team, because they have a lot to offer to these young people. Anyhow, over to you, if there are any questions you want to ask this esteemed panel.
Good night to everyone. There is one first comment, one member of the panel, who shall be nameless. I understand or remember that when he did not make 100, he would go back into the dressing room and shed tears. And that is the kind of commitment that is probably missing in today. The question I want to ask is, do you think that the state of West Indian cricket is endemic of what is happening in the society in general? Our political leaders, for instance, are not demonstrating the kind of leadership that we saw in the past. Everything today is based on instant. We want satisfaction, and we want it yesterday. Do you feel that that is some way seeping into the way in which we react to things in life in general and in cricket in particular?
Mr. Richard, is that question directed at all of us or one person? I think Mr. Haynes should answer that one because he was trying politics before.
This one? Yeah, I don't know who Mr. Richards is talking about, that if he didn't make 100, he would go in the dressing room and cry. But on the serious side of it, I think it is a situation that we've got here with our young people. And we as parents, we just got to be honest with ourselves, right? We are living in a world of technology. It is difficult for me to say to our kids that you cannot use the iPad. you can't use your phone. You cannot go on the net. But I think that what we need is more academy-type programs, like what Stevenson is doing, what is happening at Carleton, what is happening at Wonders, what is happening at YMPC, and what is happening at St. Catherine around there. And we want the Cricket Association to support these programs. Leadership for these young people is vital. But in order for we to get leadership of these young people and to let them understand that, look, you know, you need to be guided in developing your sport, we got to stop this whole nonsense about, in our time, we used to play in the road. In our time, we used to go up on the beach. If you go up on the road, you can get licked down. Nobody up on the beach now, because the beach now is full of hotels. All you can see is a beach chair. So we got to have these programs where is that we identify talent at a very early age and nurture it. And don't tell me that these young people are not going to get on board, because I have been in contact with some of these young people, and I know with the right guidance, when you've got guys in under 15, under 13, and I will go as far as under 19 and under 17. When we as coaches tell them fellas to jump, then fellas ask me how high. Because in reality, we underestimate these kids. We don't realize how smart these kids are. They know of the salaries that guys can get from playing cricket. They know of the salaries that people get for playing baseball and basketball. And they know that cricket is a way that you can make some money. So the whole leadership of this, right, must come from our association. We need the territories, as Gordon mentioned, to pay more interest in the academy program. And I want to say academy program because too many people get confused when you're talking about academies. People think it's a building. It's not a building in a cricket ground. It is programs, getting the right people to identify the talent, getting these youngsters to understand the game, getting them to know about what you can get from the game. Because I have always been branded as somebody who, I remember going to schools here, working for the government and talking to the secondary schools, and teachers telling me, don't tell them about money. You got some youngsters that you don't tell them about money and how much money you can get from cricket. Them youngsters know. Them in the fools. So the whole leadership about this, it is not only the society. It is not only the society in which these kids live in. It is our structure. And I know that, with all due respect to the president of the Barbados Cricket Association, we in Barbados, we got a very good structure. But I can't say the same thing for Trinidad. I can't say the same thing for the Windward Islands. And I cannot say the same thing for the Leeward Islands. Our president, he speaks globally about fair and free elections in Barbados when it comes to our representation. But I would like to ask him, the same thing happened in the Windwards? Does the same thing happen in the Leewards? We need the territorial boards to take some responsibility, just like how Mr. Richards is saying that we need leadership in making sure that we get the programs like these, like what is going around. I mean, Stevenson got one. There are a lot of academy programs that these youngsters want to be involved in. I can go on, but I would think that this question was for the panel, so I can't stay all night, especially I'm not getting paid for it.
Frankie, you want to jump in there?
Yes, thank you. The question, first question, is it a reflection of our culture that we are seeing in our young cricketers? The answer is absolutely yes. It's always been. We've always worn our hearts on our sleeves. If it's apathy, that's what we're going to get out there. Our cricket was neglected. You know, it was a systematic thing. A lot of it, when it rose, it was like the time, and it's like everything pointed in that direction. We can say God, we can say, you know, so many different things, but it rose out of like nothing, and it was absolutely amazing. But the decline is a shocking thing for us to accept. Absolutely, there's no way. You've never seen any entity rise so high and for so long and then fall so fast. Well, I'll just throw a little span in the works here, and I think that the decline started from an incident in 1983, and it manifested itself in the early 90s when the current crop then started to retire. And I want some discussion on that too, because we had a group of people that were banned for life. And even to this day, the other test playing countries, the world, are still shocked as to how can you take away something that you couldn't give to people and take it away so nastily that, you know, you're saying people shouldn't come back to their own countries and so on. And when you look at what happened, that regime was torn apart by that incident, and it fell within a year and a half. All those laws came down, and the people that went on that tour were never accredited. And so we've still got to say sorry. It's still looming in the air. History has shown everybody reaps the rewards now, but a group of people went, and I'll just give you a little incident. When we arrived at the airport, a few drinks on the plane, a couple of guys have changed their minds. I saw tears, you know, they wanted the plane to turn back. Wouldn't call their names, might put it in my book. When we were standing waiting for our bikes to come through the airport, I remember looking up at the terrace. I've never seen Uzis at an airport, but nobody knew what to expect. But we saw a massive crowd, and they had placards. Welcome, welcome Windies, welcome West Indies. When I looked down, I saw the flaps on the conveyor belt open, and one player came through with the bags on the conveyor belt. Looked around and saw what's going on. So everybody looked at the one, and nobody knew what to do. There's a black man sitting on the conveyor belt, and he's gone through the other flaps, and he's coming around again. When he came around again, another guy was with him. So anything that you thought that was, you know, black people not allowed to, well, even there and then, they started to set standards as to, you know, people can do almost whatever, you know. But yes, we've worn our hearts on our sleeves, and the culture is there. Can we get it back? Of course we can get it back. If we adopt the game as a culture, again, it was our culture then, and if we do so again, I've shown that 15 little boys from an academy here could go to England, and they can beat the likes of Wales and Middlesex and the lot. Well, Yorkshire, we were beating Yorkshire. They called the game off because of rain, and they got by us by 1 point. But we went back, they thronked us by 10 wickets, but we still were 1 point behind. I've got a question for Conde, actually, because he just mentioned something, and he's talking about now there's so many new facets of cricket. Don't ask me, I know that if cricket chooses, it will sort all these problems, all these queries out. Cricket can do that. And time and people's nature, education, we have a habit of doing that. I don't know what you're going to get young men. Look at young Jofra Archer. He hasn't played any, I don't think he made his debut for Barbados yet. He hasn't played a first-class game for Barbados. I know he made my first-class debut for Tasmania, but he's played a couple of years for a year and a half, I think, for Sussex. Why should he turn back now and look at cricket as something that he wants to give young people? No, look at me. I'm out here making millions when the year comes, so look at me and try and do this, in a sense. So how do you tell a youngster to come back and your nation needs you to come and be subservient to the president and the board? If they want to pick you, they might pick you, and don't play you. You know, and people have done things down through time for their own, you know, you've got to look at your immediate situation, and you remedy that. So the game right now is where we thought it could be, that it offers a lot more opportunities. In my time, there was no A team or B team or C team. It was the West Indies team, and if you weren't playing for the West Indies team, you better have a job. And you got a job, but you got a contract in England. You got fired. I lost 7 jobs in Barbados. I had 7 jobs before this one, and I lost every job because I wanted to play cricket. I was fired every time because they wanted me to work on Saturdays and Sundays. I can't. I was going to trials for Barbados, and Green Steeds fired me. You've got to come to work on Saturday. I can't. This trial match is Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. If you don't come Saturday, don't start. And then you got now that I choose to do something and I'm banned for life. And none of these guys can actually give me a job, but I believe in what I'm doing. And history have proven me to be absolutely fantastic correct. I walk in South Africa and it's fantastic. I come home and I've told people that I only feel color when I look in my people's face. But I play for so many teams out there, and I'm the only white person in the building sometimes. Everybody else there is serving drinks or whatever. They want to talk to me, but they can't speak the language. But I know they represent, and they know who I am in a sense, you know. We can get it back if we choose the game as a culture. Conde, if you said you got some money for YMPC, for instance, because Fidel plays for them. What if Fidel left Carlton the year before and he plays for YMPC now? Does Carlton benefit from any of that? What if Fidel, you know, I think that we need to look at this situation. Sorry, Dwayne Smith, sorry, but it's Fidel as well, I think.
Yeah, but I can answer you quickly. We will prorate it, and I think it should go a step further too. I think that the funds are being split 1/3 for the West Indies Cricket Board, 1/3 for the Territorial Board, 1/3 for the club. But I feel that you spend at least 6-7 years at a school, and I feel the money should go down a bit further to the school. Should be split in 4. A quarter to the West Indies Cricket Board, a quarter to the Territorial Board, a quarter to the club, and a quarter to the school that guy went to. Because like if $170,000 going to YMPC, $170 to Banksville next year for Jofra Archer and what's his name? Because in regards to the fact that Jofra has played for Sussex and he's never played for Barbados, it is his country of origin. He played for Barbados under 15 twice, under 17 twice, under 19 twice. The year we were inviting him to trials, he had a bad back, and he went back to England. But now, he goes to the IPL. That money comes back down through the system. And as I said, I think it should also filter down to the school, because secondary schools right now need a bit of help with their cricket development programs. And some schools don't even have a PE teacher that can teach cricket. A lot of the teachers did their PE degrees and so on in the United States of America, and their slant is more to athletics and volleyball and so on. So, hence you see Combermere. When I was on the Combermere School Board in 1996, Combermere had to join with St. Leonard's to get a second division team. Vernon Williams at the time was the chairman of the board, and he said a school like Combermere that produced Wes Hall and Frank Worrell and Frank this person, we must have a cricket program. And we went out to the market and applied for a cricket master. And Roddy Estwick got the job. And you can see the difference between the cricketers that Combermere has produced in the last 10 years, because we put a cricket master into Combermere and he focused on cricket. So the Craig Braffetts, Roston Chase, Shane Dowrich, Carlos Brathwaite, all of them came under that system because they had a cricket master.
But
I believe that if every one of the 21 secondary schools, because Springer is the only all-girls school, if all of them had a cricket master, cricketers would be just coming out of those schools faster than what happens now.
It
Yes.
shows me, it shows me right now, Conde, that you're actually thinking on your feet right now while you talk about this situation, but how much discussion has actually gone into it? There's a lot has happened in cricket for a long time. I mean, Desmond Haynes, for instance. Say Desmond Haynes, you think that Carlton should benefit from any of the money that's going to Barbados for Desmond Haynes? Desmond Haynes, cricket was born and raised in Holders Hill.
Yeah, I'm
The
also
culture there, but
filtering
no,
right down.
so I think that there are ideas that I think it needs to be broadened because the main factor, cricket is a very short career.
15 years.
And the main thing, look at the players of the past. I mean, right now we've got so many guys out there getting knee operations and shoulder operations and so on. We know that these guys are going to struggle down through time, but you know, anything, you know, it's more than just looking at what's happening. I think that we need more honest discussion. Forget
broader
the
discussion as well.
politics, and we can do something that is really real, but it can benefit what's happening, and it actually spirals towards what is going to happen if we have honest discussion. But our cricket has gone into an area where we don't even want to visit, right? And so now to hear this, there's so many. One question here within the panel: what about if those players are playing now and they play for teams that are not playing anymore? You know, there's so many. So I think that we need to have more discussion on this because there are ideas out there that can benefit Barbados in the long run and these same players who are playing the game right now. But right now, the thinking on the feet, and I think this should happen, that should happen. When it's actually happening right now, I think that we can do a whole lot better than that.
Okay, yes, sir.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Riley, I'd
night.
like to pick you up on what you said. I recall you addressing the Principals Association. I was president. I think it was in 2010, and you discussed the idea of having a dedicated cricket coach in all the secondary schools.
I recall.
I recall, I don't have my notes with me, that you mentioned some sum of money. I thought it was $6 million to employ a cricket coach in all the schools. There's no doubt about it. You see the difference between the quality of cricket at Commonwealth School, and to a lesser extent Foundation, than the other schools. I want to tell you that I waited at Queen's College for a cricket coach for the longest time. I've put it in the estimates, I've discussed it with the ministry, and there's no money and such like. I believe that there's one way of Western cricket could improve. I want to say to you, Franklin Stevenson, I followed the Herman Griffith and the under-13. Three of my grandchildren play in the competition. I used to follow it very closely. The solution, or what I want to come here tonight to talk about is what we are going to do about the decline of West Indian cricket is a disgrace. That video that showed here tonight, I lived through that period. I watched you gentlemen play cricket. And it is real painful for me. You got to see it from the perspective of a spectator, to watch what is happening in West Indian cricket now, how it's declined. And when I think it can't decline anymore, it gets worse and worse. It is very painful. And it seems to me as though the pride that's been taught so much here tonight, that it is lacking. I don't believe that other people could develop skills to the extent that we look like, as Mr. Gordon Gwynedd said, we look like we participate in more than competing. That is very painful for me. I, however, realize that tonight I got a lot of questions and I really can't talk about them all tonight. I just want to focus on one thing here. I believe that you solve problems by tackling them. I believe the time for West Indian cricket to analyzing over. What we are good at, we like to investigate and analyze and take little action. It is about time that we take some action. I'm going to steer clear of the whole discussion about the administration and such, like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in my grandchildren and those who play cricket at a very low level. And I believe that something can be done in the schools to generate interest in cricket and spectators' participation. In the schools, even at the primary level. Now, sometime back I sat down and I wrote a paper called Cricket on the Curriculum. And I'm to present it to the Principals Association. You got a lot of ideas about where cricket is, where it should go, and the role that schools should play in generating interest in cricket. I don't believe it is just going to resurge again. So, gentlemen, I want to say this was a very good discussion. I am really disappointed here tonight. This is an example of what we has become. The fact that you can't even get 40 people in here, and don't tell me that they didn't hear about this. I had an important engagement tonight, and I come here because I want to be here. But this is a classic example of what we have become. It is in all areas of human endeavor in Barbados. People don't seem to care, they ain't got no pride, and such like. But I want to focus, I want you gentlemen, if you can, very quickly. I've heard Gordon Greenwich alluded to it. What is the role, or what has 2020 cricket and its popularity done for the decline of West Indian cricket? Like Gordon Greenwich, I don't go to it. I only went to one because I carry my grandchildren. I believe in test cricket. I believe at least in some 50 over cricket. But that 2020 cricket is a bunch of foolishness to me, and it has its place for other things, but not for the development of cricket. So I want to ask you all, gentlemen, what has that done, or do you believe it has done damage to West Indian cricket, to West Indian pride? And that if you believe that it is at the center of correcting that and regenerating pride in West Indians, that we will have a resurgence in West Indian people.
Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman here has a serious role to play as the principal of one of our secondary schools, Queen's College. I know he runs a very tight shift, but that is the school that Shea Hope went to, and Royal Brathwaite and a number of our cricketers. So he has an opinion on cricket. And what he said just now is very true. I would love to see it happen. I didn't have the power then, but I believe I have a bit more say now in having a coach in every secondary school, so we're going to work towards that. The question was put to you.
I've got some very slow takers here, but I just want to throw a little span in the works. School has its place. We have some communities in Barbados, nearly all the communities that are seriously struggling. We look at our playing fields and they're way, way, way underused. The same fund that Conde is talking about and the benefit from that, these kids, long before they even went to school, and I've found that the schools, some of the schools have taken on a role that they want a winning team. And it's something that Barbados has got to hold its head down about, in that a coach of a school can say to a mother of a primary school boy, I want your son to come to my school. I have this as first-hand knowledge and understanding, and the mother says, my son cannot get the marks to come to your school. And he says to her, don't bother about that. You just tell me that you want to come to my school, and I can arrange it. Well, no, I'm not. How do you? I'm not going to call any names of any coaches.
Call it strategic.
Strategic, right, okay. Well, that boy, in particular, he ended up going to even a higher school. So we do the maths. But the funny thing is, we're not going to sort of dwell too much on him, because he wanted to play so badly, he got threatened by his parents, and he actually picked up his schoolwork and became an A student in that higher school, so it can work. But I believe it can go a whole lot further, and it's back to a program that I saw could work a long time ago, in that we should create academies of cricket in communities in Barbados. 25 academies I've seen can work, and the reason for 25 is that it can circumvent this country, this island, and those kids have a chance to come to that playing field every afternoon after school. There's a program there for them, because instead of being at the Defense Force, learning to be soldiers and stuff, and just working out 2 hours a day, these kids will work out 3 hours a day, and then they look after the kids for an hour and a half after school, and those kids have a chance to walk home after school. No parents having to get them to the academies and get them back on the fairway, and have a program that you can actually bring together. Then the legends can be true servants of Barbados, and that they can drive around and they can actually see that program going on and offer. It's a complete program. It brings tourists into Barbados, but it puts Barbados on the map as being one of the leading destinations in the world for cricket. But look at our playing fields. They need an upgrade. That money should be helping to upgrade the playing fields of Barbados, where these kids grew up, not the clubs that they opted to play for the year before. Let's be real, and let's get these, put the manure where is necessary to the root of the plants. And with honest discussion and proper ideas, we can get this to happen. We haven't had money in Barbados for a long time where cricket is concerned. When we had no money, we had a fantastic cricket team. And then we get money, and instead of having 3 guys working for the board, we got about 40 right now. But then nothing gets done because it's somebody else's problem. How come you didn't do it? That sort of stuff. Let's get real. We are educated people, and we need to use that education in the proper way. And let's manure the roots of the plants. Our communities need rescuing. We've got a lot of people out there that turn away from cricket. This year we've gotten under 16 competition started. And believe it or not, there are only 6 teams. I had 9 sponsors lined up, and they're, you know, can you get any more teams? These are the teams that come on board. And some people said they were not interested. How could you be not interested in youngsters playing cricket who have graduated a system for 3 years? And they're doing nothing, and you're not interested. Those people should be ousted from cricket in Barbados to begin with. We're making sure that the little bit of money that comes, we're going to make sure that every team that enters the competition gets a reward, because even the team that sometimes the team that finishes last, that's the team that needs the most help. And so the majority of funds actually spreads across the board with our 6 teams, and then we will then give a token to the winner and to the runner-up. But that's how we need to address the problem. Look at our communities, and cricket is our game, but it doesn't benefit, it just benefits a few. Now you're telling me you're going to put down the clubs to do what? Clubs get players to come out. You need to mature the roots of the plants and the communities of Barbados, and if you can do that, we will have Barbados growing again. I just had some guys from Worcester. That's why I was a little bit late today. We were entertaining the seniors from Worcester. And the first thing the guy said to me is, he's very happy to be here. He really enjoyed isolation. Fantastic. They had a wonderful time. The setting down there is awesome, and the ambience. And he's enjoying the academy. And he said, the Brian Lara State Academy in Trinidad is not a patch on this. Now, I saw a wonderful building. I saw a fantastic facility. He said, yes, it's that. But if you look closely, the toilets don't work. There are no kids around at all. It's not really an academy. It's money put down. And so that is what we you know, the world don't need us to go and show them that we can build stadiums like and manicure our fields like Sydney and those places. They understand that it's going to be a struggle for us. But we know that when a cricketer runs behind a cricket ball and decides to slide and dive, that he should be sliding on rocks. And we bring people here, and then they get the experience, but they want to go off to South Africa and play again because, you know, we can do a whole lot better. And if you've got funds coming, the places that these guys play their cricket, let's look at putting the program in. And the better you manicure these fields, the more the game is appreciated. But I don't appreciate what you're telling me that the clubs, you know, the clubs have got their thing to do, but this is not it. So I think we can do a whole lot better. Thank you.
I want to create a little problem here tonight because I believe in T20 cricket. And I know this can sound real strange because I have always felt that T20 cricket is here to stay. But you know where I had the problem? I had the problem with the fact that we're not using the T20 funds to develop the cricket. West Indies Cricket Board sell out. Sorry, there was a big agreement for our T20. We're the only cricket nation that don't own our own T20. In order for the West Indies cricket to get strong again, we must own our T20 cricket. The Indians don't go nowhere. South Africa got theirs. Australia got theirs. The money that we could generate from T20 cricket can help with all the programs that Frankie is talking about, all the programs that Conde is talking about. Where the hell are you going to get the money from if you don't have the type of cricket that bring in the revenue? I mean, we just can't just go and knock T20 cricket and say we don't want to watch it. We got to understand that we are living in times where the young people, as we were discussing only 10 or 15 minutes ago, they want instant, they don't want to see no movie that can tell you to be continued. We got to buy in it. We just can't let them say that. No, we've got to find ways of how best we can incorporate the fast cricket to the slow one to the medium one. I am not going to sit here in nowhere just because I played at a time when there was no T20 and say that T20 destroying we cricket. T20 in destroying we cricket. I was involved with the Tridents, and I can tell you from a coach point of view, T20 has enhanced our fielding or catching. It might not do a lot for our batting because you got your minuses and you got your pluses. But I know one thing, that it is not fair to say that T20 hasn't got a part to play and to think that it's going to destroy the cricket. What we need to do, we got to own ours so that we can take the revenue, the money from it, and develop these academy programs in which we are talking about. Everybody I speak to, maybe at Royal Westmoreland, if I am in England, you know what they say to me? We want West Indies cricket strong again. You know, I don't believe them. Because the reason why I don't believe them, the same video we were watching tonight. Nobody wasn't, when they were from the West Indies, were proud of what we have done for 15 years, beating the whole world. That's nonsense. If you want we cricket strong again, give me some money. Money would make a difference. I heard Frankie talking about the community atmosphere and how to get these programs in community. That need money. And the Cricket Association can't find any money. It means it's either government, and when it's government, it is our taxpayers' money. So if these people around the world telling us about how they want to get West Indies cricket strong again, give me some money. Because that's the only way it's going to work. We are behind the cue ball. It is totally impossible for we to get these programs when you got India getting so much money. And as I said to all of them, I know the ICC or the MCC is coming here or whoever, we need to tell them, if you all are interested in seeing West Indies cricket develop, give me some money. We went to Australia. You know what Australia do? Australia laugh at me. We went to Australia about 15 times in 10 years. We had the Perth Cup, the Pura Cup, this Scholar Cup, everything. We the full in the stands. We the beating them. But they're developing the cricket from the funds, from we beating them. We need money.
Excuse me, Desmond, but I would like to challenge that for a while, I think. Are you seriously telling me that you don't think T20 have had a damaging effect, whether it's West Indies cricket or world cricket? Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't have a place. I'm not saying it doesn't have a place, but it has created, well, not everywhere, but certainly in the Caribbean, a type of cricketer that only knows how to play T20, and you see it in the way they play in the longer version game. That is my beef about this, in that preference in the T20 game that you want to play, that may be fine. But when it comes to the longer version game, too much of that game is showed in the test match. And we fall down badly. We cannot put 2 innings together in any test matches. We made lucky and we play well, like the one we lost badly in Birmingham last year, and then we played a blinder in Yorkshire. And then after that, it went back to where we were in Birmingham. There was no consistency. Now, as I said before, I'm not looking, and I don't feel that at this present stage in West Indies cricket that we're going to go there and blitz our opposition. What I would like to see the team do often is to put 2 good innings together and be able to last for 5 days. That way, I think you have a chance of coming back. And the T20 game is having an effect on the batsmanship of cricket. It has to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take one more question, and then we'll wrap up. Go ahead, Pedro.
Good evening to everyone. I have so many questions, I have to summarize it. The principal from Queen's College would have touched on it as well in terms of leadership, and I believe in captaincy. Franklin Stevenson also alluded to it as well in terms of the community cricket. And we're talking about T20, we're talking about getting players back to where we were. Mr. Greenwich, you also would have said that you don't see the fight, you don't see guys when they're going to dressing room feeling like they're disappointed in getting out, so to speak. But my question really to everyone tonight here is not, as the principal said, it's not going about in terms of what the issues are, but more so in terms of how we solve them. We talk about the academies, we talk about the various people around the world that may probably give money, we talk about the issues that the Cricket West Indies have in terms of giving the cricket to others for 20 years or whatever the period is, but that is all done, and it's probably the solution to that is probably even further away than the solution to our cricket now, in terms of making it strong again. To make a batsman, I will give an example before I make the point. Franklin Stevenson here, I must commend him for what he does at not only at his academy. When he plays inside the BCL, he has some junior players, some schoolboys playing with him. Right now, he's actually in the St. Thomas knockout, so he's mixed some older guys in a team with some younger guys, and they're playing inside the St. Thomas knockout against older folks who are more seasoned cricketers. This is exposure at a young level. This is exposure at a young level, playing against, for these young on the 19th, on the 15th, playing against older folks. When I was growing up at 15 years old, so to speak, I played with, which y'all will know, cricketers like Winslow Ashby. So he had just finished with Barbados. I was playing with him. So I felt proud to play with him. We don't have that anymore. All the cricketers are gone, and you have people playing amongst themselves. So we have the under 13, the BCS under 13, under 16. Then we have the Herman Griffith. We have the schools Goddard's tournament. Then we have under 19 schools tournament. We have under 15 schools tournament, and we have under 13 schools tournament. What is that? The juniors are playing amongst themselves all the time. If we really want development, then I believe that I'm glad the principal is here. Cut out the Goddard's cricket. Let these boys then go and play with clubs. So before Franklin Stevenson is no longer able to play, You can have people from Queen's College playing at Melbourne or whatever the case may be during the actual season, the actual BCA season or BCL season, and make community teams strong again. That is the point I want to make tonight, really and truly, because I have so many questions, but give it time. That is the point I want to make and ask the panel then, what are your thoughts? I have a paper I've prepared, but I want to put to the panel, what are your thoughts about truly having community cricket? And whereas then you can have a franchise system set up even inside the domestic cricket in Barbados. We have 19 teams currently in the elite first divisions. Do we have 20 by 12? Do we have 240 good cricketers? Well, sorry, elite cricketers. Can we reduce that pool to, say, a top flight cricket team level of, say, 6 teams and utilize the best grounds in Barbados for the elite cricket? Then you have then you get more players then making intermediate stronger, second division stronger, and then you will have a blend then with the youngsters coming into these second division intermediate teams and making club cricket and community cricket stronger in Barbados. Your views?
I think it's absolutely necessary. I've seen, the BCL used to have over 120 teams in Barbados playing cricket every weekend. Over 120 teams, and then you still had the first division and the intermediate sides. That's how strong cricket was in Barbados. We've lost a lot of those fields. The BCL now has 40 odd, they tell me, 40 odd clubs. And out of that 40 odd, you got about 20 clubs every Saturday turning up with 8 and 9 and 10 men. We've got to recognize what's happening to cricket. The BCA has got to get their head out of the sand. Right? It's just not happening. We've got too many sporting organizations in Barbados that are failing. The National Sports Council has to redress and look at itself again. It needs to be looked at from outside, in a sense. The BCA is now saying to us that they have funds coming in to benefit cricket. I think they need to free up those funds, look after their program, but have another entity. There's no harm in having another point of view, in a sense, but your idea is so fantastic. Cricket is not really a school thing. England saw that a long time ago. A long time ago. Prestigious schools have cricket programs, but cricket is really, it's now given to the counties, and the counties now have, every county has an academy. So they're funneling it down to make sure that the good players come through. School has its place. School is very, very important. And it's good to have a little fun team at school. But recognize that by the time the kids come to your secondary school, they're already deciding. A lot of players actually come to secondary school and stop playing cricket. When you look for a lot of the primary school kids that did well, they get to the secondary school wants that winning team, and they've only got, out of the, say, 200 boys that enter that secondary school, at least 80, 90 are cricketers. How many can you afford? And so a lot of them actually stop playing. And the communities are the ones that bear the brunt of that. Those community teams that's the place where all these guys came from. Not one of them came from school. Not one of them were made at the BCA. Not a single one. But now all of a sudden we want cricketers made at Kensington Oval. We want cricketers made in schools. You go to a school and you're proud to play for that school, but you come from a community, and that's where the root really is. And now we see the communities are dying. The West Indies board has taken a stand where we don't get to watch cricket. We cannot watch our own team play. So how can you garnish interest when you cannot see what you're... So only the stalwarts are going to be seeking... Who's showing the cricket? What's the score? But if the kids can't see, of course they're going to want to see Man United play Seville and that sort of nonsense like that. And we can't produce footballers on our fields down here. But cricket is our thing. Look where it's taken us, and look how it's hurting us. And if you get honest about it, you cannot do it all, and you can do so little because there's so much politics around, but you do have a lot to do. But let's create something that can go forward and get people in that understand and feel it. And I'm sure that you'll see something proper coming out of it. We've just got the under-16 competition going, and I hope that really grows. And every cent that's come into that so far has come from out of Barbados. So I won't say that there are people out there who are saying they want to see our cricket grown, but they're lying. Of course, you know, people are hurt by it because West Indies cricket is something, the Australians all bat one way. They all come at the ball really hard. Look at that West Indian team that you saw on that video. No two were the same, and that's what's so exciting about West Indies cricket. It's like you don't know what is coming, but you really want to see, and it's always something new. And we want to get that back, and I believe you can get it. You were telling me you got funds coming, come there. Let's take a good look at where those funds should be, and let's be honest about it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is getting late. I'm sorry we started late, but when I look at the lecture series which is being put on by the Barbados Museum, this is a fantastic series. And just let me give you all some of the topics. Schools cricket in Barbados. That will be on March 20th, and the speaker will be Mr. Trevor Marshall, the historian. The evolution of early club cricket, including the BCL, 1840s to 1950, by Professor Pedro Welch. Cricket and Democracy, the Rise of Empire Club. That will be given by Mr. Kevin Farmer, who spoke earlier. Cricket, Carnival and Calypso, Dr. Marcia Burrows. Women's cricket in the Caribbean, Miss Margaret Brooms, I think that's the wife of Jeff Brooms. The Impact of Technology on Cricket Photography by Gordon Brooks. Cricket and the Apartheid Era, Professor Alan Cobley, Vice Chancellor's Office. The Evolution and Impact of the Cigarfield Sobers Cricket Tournament. This will be given by Mr. Morris Greenwich. Negotiating the New Barbados, Suppressing the Colonial Past and Liberating the Democratic Future. Now, anybody that could do that topic, the only body is Professor Hilary Beckles. And that will be on the 22nd of May. Reclaiming the Brand, Social Culture and Personal Empowerment in West Indian Cricket and the Caribbean, including the part that cricket commentary played in that development. And that's Ms. Donna Simmons. And finally, Cricket and the Media, Adriel Richard, Michael White, and Patrick Cozier. So another 11 lectures in the Barbados Museum and Horticultural Society lecture series for 2018. I hope that you can make some of them. And before you leave, we have some refreshment that we would like you to partake in. So thanks very much for coming, and look forward to seeing you at the remaining lectures in this series. Thank you and good night.